So today we're going to dive into the really surprising connection between a simple snack and cancer outcomes. Yep, we're talking about tree nuts. And the research we're about to explore suggests they could be a seriously powerful ally in cancer care. Let's get right into it.
I mean, it sounds almost too simple to be true, right? Could something you just pick up at the grocery store actually genuinely make a difference for patients who are navigating a cancer diagnosis? Well, the data we're about to walk through it's pretty compelling, and it suggests the answer might just be a resounding yes. Let's just start with a number that's going to grab your attention: 52%. In one major study of breast cancer survivors, the women who ate nuts regularly saw a 52% drop in their risk of cancer coming back, spreading, or death. So how on earth did researchers find such a stunning link?
Okay, let's start by digging into the evidence in breast cancer, because this is where some of the most detailed findings have really come to light. This is where that incredible 52% figure comes from, and believe me, the details are just as important as that headline number.
And look, this wasn't some small study. We're talking about nearly 3,500 breast cancer survivors who were followed for over 8 years. That long time frame let researchers see these long-term patterns really start to emerge. And what they found was this significant, dose-dependent link between eating nuts and actually surviving.
So this chart right here shows you exactly what dose-dependent means. The women who ate more than about 17 grams a week, that's just a couple of small handfuls, they saw that 52% lower risk. But here's what's incredible. Even the women who ate less than that still had a 45% lower risk compared to those who ate no nuts at all. It really suggests that every little bit can help.
Okay, now this is where things go from a compelling correlation to something much more. In a completely separate and frankly remarkable study, researchers found that when women with breast cancer ate 2 ounces of walnuts every day for just 2 weeks before their surgery, it measurably changed the genetic activity inside their tumors. We're talking about over 450 genes being altered, activating pathways for cell death and shutting down pathways for cell growth. This is a profound biological shift.
And this evidence isn't just limited to breast cancer. Not at all. The same positive link shows up in studies on colorectal cancer, where the findings are just as striking, especially for patients who have more advanced disease.
So in this study, researchers focused on 826 patients, all with stage 3 colon cancer, and all of them were going through chemotherapy. They tracked them for 6.5 years, and they were looking specifically at the impact of consuming just 2 or more servings of nuts per week. I mean, that's a very modest amount.
And the results? They were just so powerful. Compared to the patients who ate no nuts, the nut eaters had a 42% lower risk of their cancer coming back. And even more dramatically, they had a 57% lower risk of death from any cause during the study. I mean, these are huge improvements in outcomes for these patients.
But the researchers found a crucial detail. This powerful effect they were seeing was specifically linked to tree nuts. Things like walnuts, almonds, and pecans. The same benefit was not seen with peanuts, which, are technically legumes. This really suggests there are specific compounds in tree nuts that are the real active ingredients here.
All right, our third pillar of evidence comes from the world of prostate cancer. And this one involves an even larger group of patients, and it adds another layer of nuance to this whole story.
Here, we're looking at a huge group, over 6,800 men who were diagnosed with prostate cancer. The study analyzed their eating habits after their diagnosis, focusing specifically on the guys who ate 5 or more servings of nuts every week. And the key finding is this number, 34%. This represents the lower rate of overall mortality, so death from any cause, for the men who ate nuts 5 or more times per week compared to those who ate them less than once a month.
But there's a really important nuance here. Nut consumption wasn't linked to stopping the prostate cancer itself. Instead, it was associated with patients living longer lives overall, and that's likely because of the well-known heart benefits of nuts. It's just a powerful reminder that your overall health is so critical during cancer treatment.
So we've seen what happens. We're talking improved outcomes in 3 major cancer types. But that just begs the question, how? What is actually happening inside the body when someone eats a handful of walnuts? Let's take a look at the science.
Researchers believe it's kind of a multi-pronged attack. First, like we saw, nuts can directly change gene expression right inside the tumor cells. Second, they have these powerful anti-inflammatory effects all through the body. And third, they have a profound impact on the health of our gut microbiome.
Let's just focus on that gut health point for a second.
Tree nuts act as prebiotics. Basically, they're food for our good gut bacteria. And specifically, they nourish these bacteria called butyrate producers. These little microbes then produce something called butyrate, which is the superstar compound that helps keep our gut lining healthy and tamps down inflammation system-wide.
So what this gives us is a really clear before and after picture. Without regular nut consumption, you often see higher inflammation. But with nuts, those inflammatory markers go down. Inside the tumors, the genetic activity literally shifts from promoting growth to promoting cell death. And down in the gut, you see a bloom of those beneficial anti-inflammatory bacteria. It's a total system upgrade.
Okay, wow, we've covered a ton of data, right? From patient outcomes all the way down to cellular mechanisms. So let's pull all this together and really distill it down into the most important takeaways from all this research.
So what are the key takeaways here? Well, first, it's tree nuts specifically, walnuts, pecans, almonds, that show the strongest links. Second, the amounts were really modest. Just a couple of servings a week made a difference. And third, the benefits were often dose-responsive, meaning, yeah, more was better. But maybe the most important takeaway is this: the evidence is strongest for improving survival and cutting down recurrence in people who already have a cancer diagnosis, even more so than preventing it in the first place.
Now, if we zoom out to the big picture of prevention, meta-analysis that pooled together dozens of studies do show a benefit. Regular nut consumption is linked to about a 10 to 15% lower risk of getting cancer overall. So it's a helpful protective effect for sure, but it's just less dramatic than those survival benefits we've been talking about.
And that really brings us to this key quote from the research, which kind of summarizes the whole theme. The strongest, most consistent evidence points to the role of nuts in helping people live longer and better after a cancer diagnosis. It's an incredibly powerful tool for what's known as tertiary prevention.
So while this research definitely doesn't position nuts as some kind of cure, it strongly suggests they can be a powerful ally in a patient's journey. It just shows how simple dietary choices can create these profound biological changes. And it leaves us with a pretty compelling question, doesn't it? What other keys to our health are just hiding in plain sight, waiting to be unlocked? Thanks so much for joining us.